Alright people, it finally happened. I got one of these exotic, JDM rods just to see what they're all about. But before I even get into the video, let me tell you the agenda for this video so you can plan your attendance or skip the parts that you're not interested in. So first I'm gonna tell you why I bought this rod. I'll try to keep this part short, then I tell you where I bought it, and for somebody who plans to buy this rod, this can be important. Then I'm gonna give you a close-up view of every component of the rod with some remarks, and at the end I'm gonna show you the shape of the load curve of this blank. Heads up right away, I have not fished this rod yet, okay? I did go crappie fishing yesterday. The rod was with me on the boat, but let's say I had some boat problems, okay? So I didn't get a chance to fish the rod. So if you want to, hear my fishing impressions of this rod, what can I say? You will have to subscribe to my channel, and I promise you will see plenty of videos on my channel with this rod in the future. So, why did I buy an Exotic Jdm rod? And later why this particular one, but basically I want to have my own opinion of whether or not this exotic tackle is worth the money. I already have exotic ultralight spinning reels. I have the 2019 Shimano Vanquish. You're welcome to check my review on that reel as well. And this is the best reel that I have, but I still like my Daiwa Legalis very much. But I just think I can make better reviews of the mid-price and low-end price tackle if I have tried high-end tackle. It just gives you the right range in my opinion. And to give you an example, I love reading reviews of tackle on Amazon, okay? Even tackle that I have absolutely no interest in. I'll still read the reviews, and sometimes I go and read, for example, Cast King reviews, and people will talk about a reel. This is the smoothest reel I have ever tried. And immediately my question is, and I would pay $10 to find out the answer to this question is, okay, what kind of reels have you used to say that this is the smoothest reel you have ever tried? What else have you used? Because I actually don't think all of these casting reviews are paid. I know a lot of them are paid, but some people genuinely, this is their opinion, okay? They just have never tried some, high-end tackle. So this is what I want to, I want to have this, okay? I don't want to say the Daiwa Legalis is just as smooth as, any other reel on the market. Because I want to have tried the high-end equipment, okay? I just want to have the right understanding of where the mid-priced tackle is priced. So this is why I wanted to have one really nice JDM rod, just to give me an opinion of what high-end tackle feels like, okay? Hopefully you understand that. Now, why this one in particular? This is a Major Craft, by the way, if you can't tell. This is Major Craft, Truzer, Mebaru, and you can get the exact model number and all the detail here. And, okay, I have quite a few ultralight rods, some of them really nice, so I wanted to get a JDM ultralight rod. And I chose a Major Craft brand because Major Craft is kind of a mainstream exotic brand, if that makes any sense. How can it be mainstream and exotic? It's kind of a, the brand that if you want to go exotic, Major Craft is kind of a safe choice. It is very popular and you can find some information about it, unlike some other brands, okay? So this is why I just wanted to go safe. Major Craft, I mean, it is very difficult to find anything negative online about Majorcraft. Then why this particular brand? Let me show you the rest of the sleeve. This is Truzer, MB stands for Mebaru. Because I chose this particular model because I wanted a new model, and this model was just released. Okay, I mean, this is kind of a YouTube thing. Who wants to watch a review of a 3-year-old rod or reel? Okay, nobody's considering purchasing this thing anymore. So kind of a selfish motive here, but I wanted to buy something that will be a relevant review. So of all of the good Majorcraft models, this I think this is one of the very few, I think this is the only one that was new and ultralight that I found. Now, if you want to find this rod on Majorcraft's website, you would have to go not to freshwater, but saltwater. Okay, and until recently I didn't even know that there was such a category, ultralight saltwater fishing rods. I mean, what would you catch with this rod in United States, that is saltwater? But in Japan they do catch these aging and Mebaru fish, and they do have those. And the reason I didn't buy their freshwater models was that Majorcraft discontinued their high-end freshwater models for some reason, and I didn't want to buy the old model for the reason I already described. Even when you go to Majorcraft's website and you select Truzer, then you have to go to light game, and then you have, even in the light game version of the Truzer rod, 2 versions. You have aging and Mebaru, and those have 2 versions. You have solid tip and tubular tip. Now I don't want to go into solid tip and tubular tip discussion yet, but one day I will. But suffice it to say that of all of these versions, okay, aging versus Mebaru, solid tip versus tubular tip, light game versus the other models of Truzer, of all of these models I selected this one because it had the lowest lure rating. Okay, this one was 0.5 to 5 grams. So I was afraid that by ordering a saltwater rod and then using it for freshwater, for crappie and stuff, it will come to me and it will be too stiff. Especially these aging rods, they have a reputation of being too stiff. Okay, so that's the reason I chose this model, and I can tell you right away, this rod is not too stiff. So I'm very happy with my decision, but this is how I came with it. So keep in mind when I show you the bend of the blank later, that if you want a little bit stiffer rod, the tubular version of this rod is a little bit stiffer than the solid tip, and then the aging version of this rod is a little bit stiffer yet, and then all of these are light game, and Truzer has a few other variants as well. So if you want stiffer than this, you will definitely find it in their inventory. Okay, where did I buy this rod? Usually I buy all of my JDM reels from one of these 3 sources: Digitaka, Platt, or Japan Tackle. Okay, but once I decided that this was the model and this was the rod I wanted, and I started googling, for the lowest price, these 3 sources didn't even have this rod available at the time I was googling. Okay, so I only found this rod on eBay. However, the price that the particular eBay seller wanted was, with shipping, very similar to what was the MSRP. So usually on eBay the prices you find are kind of higher, okay, significantly higher in some cases. But in this case, the price was very good, even with shipping included, so I took the chance and I ordered from eBay. Now, I don't remember the name of that particular eBay seller, but I'm gonna show it on the screen somewhere. And in hindsight, this was a great decision because this turned out to be an exceptional, Japanese vendor who, after that purchase, I have added to my favorite, eBay sellers, and I will be purchasing more stuff from him. But let me tell you why I really like this vendor. When I got this rod in the mail, it came in the usual, paper tube. But inside the tube, the rod was strapped to a folding aluminum tube. I had never seen something like this. Let me show you this aluminum tube. I don't know how the camera will focus from there, but the rod was strapped to this aluminum tube inside of the paper tube, okay? And for some reason, I don't know why they needed a folding one. Maybe they buy a lot of these and they use them for longer rods as well, so they can extend. But look at this aluminum tube. This was inside the box, and this was what the rod was strapped to. Let me try to show you the connection here. Okay. So, first of all, this is extra safety for the rod, which if you buy a $300, rod from Japan with, what kind of warranty do I have? I don't have any warranty. Even if I do, I can't ship it back to Japan. So you really appreciate good shipping, and this is the reason why I added this vendor to my favorite vendors, okay? I am actually not gonna throw this aluminum tube away. I think I'm gonna use this on my boat to hold my camera. So I don't know, this has some value to me. I would probably say I would pay, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks for this thing just to use it on my boat. It will go in a rod holder and I can put my camera anywhere I want. But enough of this. Again, I will put the name of this vendor, eBay vendor, somewhere on YouTube. He doesn't know I'm making this video. I'm not making any money from him. But in my opinion, vendors who do exceptional service need the free call out, just so they can grow as compared to others who don't, okay? Right, let's start talking about the rod already. Let's start from the butt section. The butt section, I have to say, a little bit big and bulky for my taste, okay? I have a lot of, ultralight rods, and this is one of the chunkiest butt sections there. I know, if you guys wonder why they need to even put this, I know they need some weight in the butt of the rod just so it can balance the tip of the rod. I get that, but it's kind of chunky and I don't care. Why did it have to be? I prefer it would be tubular here instead of, flaring out. But whatever, it is what it is. Kind of metal cap. I don't care much about the butt section of the rod. This is what I want to say, okay? I have cheaper rods with much better looking butt sections, okay? They could have put the weight here in a smaller form. Then you have this piece of the blank here between the butt section and the real seat. You can see kind of the surface treatment of the blank. Kind of brilliant. Good looking, I would say. I know this is upside down, but it says Truzer Next Generation Ceramic Ring. I'm gonna talk about the guides later, okay? And then this is the real seat. On one hand, good. I'm not gonna feel any threads in a $300 rod, okay? However, I was able to find this exact reel seat in one of my rods that costs only $70. Let me show you. This is the Fenwick HMX, a rod on which I have a detailed review, one of my favorite rods. Even for crappie, I got some feedback that it's a little bit stiff for crappie. Yeah, you should buy the ACC crappie stick and come and tell me that this rod is stiff. It has a very soft tip, and anyway, amazing rod, one of my favorite rods. $70. Well, it has the exact same reel seat. Now, I like this reel seat and they let you touch the blank, but I did get also some feedback from my other, viewers of this review that they don't particularly care about this kind of reel seat without nothing here, even though they can touch the blank. So keep in mind, $300 rod. I mean, I don't care, it's fine with me. Well, look at this, I guess, special treatment on the surface. It's a little bit different than your normal EVA foam. But the reel seat is the same like on my Fenwick HMS, so not that impressed with the reel seat. And I have to agree, I probably prefer it had some material here, even if it's just plastic or carbon, something hard, okay? Moving forward, we notice something very interesting. This is not what's interesting. I don't know what that says in Japanese. If you know, let me know, but notice this. Of all of my rods, starting from Shakespeare $20 micro series, all the way to, I think, $100 Cabela's rods was my most expensive ultralight before I got this. Every single one of them had a hook keeper. This one, $305, you don't get a hook keeper. Okay, let me turn the rod around to show you the rest of the blank. This is what I miss when I buy these $300 rods. Nobody really shows you what they look like. So, all of the model information again. I find, by the way, these numbers here very true. Okay, which I rarely do find the specifications on the rod true, but I find these numbers true. So you can see this brilliant texture. This is what the blank looks like. Okay, until the first guide, and then the blank looks different. And this is your first guide. Okay, sorry about the angle. I think this is the best I can show you from the guides. Okay, so let's talk about the guides. Guides are 50% of the reason why I chose this rod. Okay, I wanted the best guides that I could afford because heavy guides make the rod recovery slow. On top of that, flexible guides reduce the rod sensitivity. So I find that people underestimate the importance of guides in ultralight fishing. Any other fishing, bottom fishing, you don't care. Just stainless steel frame with aluminum oxide insert, you're totally fine. But for ultralight fishing, and because like I said, I wanted a rod that can show me what is the best that you can feel. And I know there is even better rods than this, but I wanted the best guides that I can buy. And titanium frame with Torzite inserts, you can usually get these around whatever, $250, $300. and I wanted guides that have titanium frame, because titanium does not flex as much as steel, with Truzer inserts. And Truzer, you know, you can go Google it and read more about it, but it is super light and super rigid. So first of all, light is good for blank recovery again, and rigid is good for sending feedback about sensitivity. Okay, so the guides of this rod are titanium frame and Truzer inserts, which on paper is amazing, but I have a problem with this. I have two problems actually. First of all, this stem here is too long. It's too far from the blank. Okay, I know why they do this. They don't want the coils from the line hitting the blank and creating extra friction. But there are downsides to this. Now you have all of this extra body on these guides that can flex. Okay, these guides do flex. So this body can now flex and it has extra weight. On top of that, the ring here is super small. Let me show you the guides on that HMX Fenwick rod that I just showed you. Okay, look at this guide. Shorter frame. This guide has less flex despite being made of inferior material. Okay, so this rod has stainless steel frame, and then it has bigger ring. So this is, to me, a much superior design. Whatever, I'm not engineer, I don't care, I have my opinions. Okay, to me this design is better looking and functionally better. Okay, the rod is easier to store in rod holders and on a boat and in rod sleeves and all of that. You don't have as much flex, you don't have as much weight here, and this larger ring allows you to cast easier. Okay, these tiny rings, I mean, they will hurt your distance. I don't care what you say, you know, what you think. Tiny rings will hurt your distance. Look at the guides on the tip here. I mean, I'm really close, so you can kind of see them well. Well, actually on camera they look huge. They look reasonably big. But you have to trust my words. The guides on the tip are absolutely microscopic. Anything more than I can tell you, 2.5 pound line, anything more than 0.10, 0.13 millimeter, you're not gonna cast with these guides. I'm just telling you, forget about it. This says 1 to 5 pound line. 5 pound line, I can promise you, you will not cast 5 pound line through these microscopic guides. Okay, the connection of the two pieces, very high end. I know Major Craft had some words to describe it, something whatever special, so you still keep your sensitivity and flex and all of that, but whatever, very durable. Let me show you. I mean, it looks nice, it is nice, but let me show you the Daiwa Presso. I find the Daiwa Presso connection just as good. This is the connection of a 7-foot Daiwa Presso. Okay, look at this. This is why I love this rod. I know a lot of people bought this rod after they saw my review of this rod. So far, I have to tell you, I have not seen one disappointed viewer. I find the connection in the Daiwa Presso rod of the same quality. Okay, and while I'm showing the Daiwa Presso rod, look at the blank here. Okay, try to, I don't know, I'm gonna try to focus. And listen to the sound. You can hear the sound. One of the reasons this $60 Daiwa Presso rod is so light is because up here they did not even paint the blank, so you can kind of feel the ridges of the blank, and they do this for two reasons. First, paint adds weight, and they want to make the blank as light as possible. Second of all, paint reduces sensitivity, so they left the ridges and the surface of the blank kind of untreated. Well, let me show you this blank here on the Truzer. Okay, the blank on the Truzer looks to me absolutely the same as on the Daiwa Presso. I'm talking only about the surface treatment. This blank is much lighter. I'm gonna tell you the weights in a second. This is a far, I don't want you to get the wrong opinion. The Truzer blank is far superior, but the surface treatment of the blank and the noise, listen to the noise. The surface treatment of the two blanks, here they are side by side, is to me exactly the same. So let's do a quick summary before I show you the shape of the load curve of the blank. Frankly, I am not that impressed by the components of the rod, okay? The reel seat can be found in $60 rods. The butt is quite bulky, quite frankly doesn't look sophisticated. The blank looks nice, but sorry about that, the surface of the blank also can be found in cheaper rods. The guides have the best materials, well, okay, some of the best materials available on the market, but the shape of the guides was, in my opinion, unfortunate. I prefer shorter frame of the guides and larger ring. So use some of this material here for larger ring. And then even, the color of the guides, they made them chrome. Now, chrome colored guides, that was a, let's say, unfortunate choice, okay? I really don't care for chrome. For me, chrome has no place in products over $100, okay? Chrome is for, younger folks, okay? Let me show you again the guides of the Fenwick rod. Look at this. Much better looking. What do they call this surface? Smoked gun or something like this? It's not chrome. I think because of my lights, both of them look kind of shiny to you, but you're gonna have to take my word on it. The guides on the Fenwick rod look more sophisticated, and they look frankly more expensive to me. I'm talking about look. I know they're made of steel and cheaper, but when it comes to looks, this cheap Fenwick rod in no way looks cheaper than this $300 rod. And the Daiwa Presso rod that I showed you already, also in my opinion, does not look cheaper. I'm talking just about looks, does not look cheaper than this $300 rod either. So overall, the looks of this rod, I don't know, you can't tell from the looks that you have a $300 rod. For my choice of reel, originally I was gonna put my Daiwa Presso reel on this rod, but I found the copper accents on the Daiwa Presso were too dark for this rod. They weren't really matching, or at least I had a better match. I also considered very briefly my Shimano Vanquish. Okay, that is right now on the Major Craft and fits perfectly. Look at this fit. Shimano Vanquish with Majorcraft Go Emotion. Fits beautifully. The Vanquish just doesn't fit this rod, okay? So at the end of the day, I paired it with my trusted Daiwa Theory. Now, the accents on the Daiwa Theory are a little bit, they're not as copperish as on the Daiwa Presso, and in my opinion, the Daiwa Theory is the reel that matches this rod the best of the reels that I have. Okay, so yeah, I matched it with Daiwa Theory. This one is 2000, but I have to say, this rod is so light. I mean, I wanted to say this in the summary of the video, but I'm gonna say it now. This rod feels so light that after you hold it in the hand, you don't feel the rod at all. Just because the rod, they balanced it so good, it's hard to describe. But you don't feel any rod. When I hold the rod like this, I only feel the reel. So yeah, this reel matches the color scheme of the rod better, but is not as light as the Vanquish or the Daiwa Presso. It's some 20 grams heavier, and frankly, I can feel this when I hold the rod. So maybe in the future I will get the Theory 1000 or whatever. I'm gonna look for a lighter reel, because as light as the Theory is, when I hold it with this rod, the reel feels heavy as compared to the Presso and the Vanquish. Okay, let me quickly show you the shape of the load curve of the rod, because I saw we are already at the 30th minute of this video. But you know, Majorcraft says the action of the blank is extra fast, and indeed it is. Look at this. Okay, I know the perspective is a little bit different, but the tip is more than 90 degrees bent just in the top 6 inches of the rod, okay? With very little bend in the rest of the body of the rod. Now, this is something actually that I was afraid of. Well, let me put it this way. I was afraid that usually rods that have very soft tip, you know, extra fast action, I have some other rods like that, usually the body after this super soft tip, there is nothing wrong with super soft tip, but usually the body is extra stiff. And I'm here to tell you, this is absolutely not the case with this rod, okay? This blank is not even close to a stiff blank. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to step out the frame here a little bit, but as a matter of fact, if you shake this blank, I don't know, it's difficult to demo, but you're gonna have to trust me. What choice do you have? As a matter of fact, this blank does have a little bit of wobble when you shake it, okay? It's still a great jigging rod, okay? One of my best jigging rod, but if you're looking for this ultra fast, ultra sharp tip, this rod is not the sharpest tip I have. I have several other rods that have sharper tip than this, and they are all much cheaper than this, okay? So this is not the best, even though it's extra fast action, this is not the best jigging rod out there. It is an excellent jigging rod, but not the best, okay? Here is the shape of the load curve with 8 ounces. And this, by the way, is the reason, from everything I said, why I am so excited about this rod. Look at this load curve. This is 8 ounces. Okay, now 8 ounces is a small crappie. Until now, the Daiwa Presso was my softest rod. Okay, this is no longer the case. Now this is my softest rod, okay? The tip is by far softer than any other rod I have, but even the blank, this is the softest rod that I have. Okay, let's do a quick summary and some final words, okay? So like I mentioned, a very good looking rod, but I have rods that look just as good for $100 or less. And other than the amazing blank and high-end guides, I'm not that impressed with the other choices that the designer made. This butt too chunky, this reel sit kind of mediocre. The surface here of the blank looks exactly like a Daiwa Presso, which is a good thing. I mean, Daiwa Presso is beautiful rod, but it doesn't make this rod look more expensive, okay? This choice of the color of the guides, appalling, okay? I don't want to see chrome on anything that costs more than $100. And like I said, I hope you noticed when I mentioned this, if you're looking for a jigging rod, just strictly, sharply only jigging, this blank does have just a little bit of wobble. So this will not be the sharpest, jigging rod you can find out there. I have much cheaper rods that feel sharper than this. And yet I think that this rod is still absolutely amazing, okay? And the value of this rod comes from the fact that even with this little bit of wobble, this is still an amazing jigging rod, okay? And unlike all other jigging rods that when they have the extra fast tip and the extra fast action, they're that stiff, this one still has plenty of flex very deep into the blank, so you can enjoy fighting a small crappie with this fish, okay? I can't say this for many rods. And the last thing is, I wish you could guys hold this rod, maybe with this reel, for just 1 second and just jig it a few times, even without lure, without fish, without anything. Because the feeling of this rod is really something different than anything I have, okay? There is, I thought about how to describe this with words. The balance is so amazing. I don't feel any weight here in my hand in front of my hand. The only weight that I feel, or behind, all of the weight is kind of in my hand, and the only thing that I feel when I move left and right is the reel. The reel is the only weight I feel when I hold this rod. And jigging, okay, there is maybe a little bit of wobble, but jigging up and down is like zero effort. So jigging with this rod will be absolute pleasure. I already know it. Okay guys, I can talk about this rod for 2 more hours without any scripting, but I have to cut this video somewhere, okay? It's already ridiculously long. If you have any questions, if I forgot about something, please leave me a comment below. I do reply to all my comments. I'll try to help you out if you're considering, buying one of these rods. So everybody else that just watched this video just for fun and curiosity, I do appreciate your time, and particularly, the folks who get all the way to the end of the video, do leave me a comment, okay? Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.